Right, Zeke.
Where are we off to tonight?
Tonight we are off to Bendigo,
How far away is that from here?
which is 110, 112 kilometres. Pretty easy drive.
What's the furthest track that you'd probably travel to each week?
Just depends. Most of them are pretty close. I think there's the main tracks. I think there's 7 within 100 to 110 k's from here. So Kilmore, Melton, Geelong, Ballarat, Yarragleen, Cranbourne, and Bendigo, which are all within an hour and 10-15 minutes. And then just depends. Like I don't drive for a lot of people up north, so I don't have to go to Mildura or Swan Hill very often. Sometimes Clayton and Emma get down to sort of Hamilton, Terang, Horsham. He doesn't really like racing his horses at Stawell and Ararat on the littler track, so I don't have to go there very often. So it's not too bad, really. Come on, Zig, let's go.
Hey, Woody.
Off to Bendigo.
Lights working, air conditioner's working, all's good.
Okay, first question to come through on Twitter.
Hang on 1 second, please, questionnaire. Hello? No. Well, when your message come through, I dialed 101 and it just went...
Take 2 on the questions. Do you drive more form, horse racing, pattern or tempo? You're driving a phenomenal amount of winners last 2 years. Plus, is it the cattle or have you made a change to tactics, attitude, style? If yes, what? And that's from Adam Logan.
Adam Logan. I have a couple of guys do form for me, and they texted to me what they think will happen in the races. I have a certain opinion. Sometimes it agrees with theirs, sometimes it doesn't. Generally, I just drive the horse to how it feels. Try and give him the best trip I can. I think I learn a lot from when I was on the World Driving thing up in Sydney with Tim Tetrick and a couple of guys, just about how they get horses that are looking tired, up and going again, sort of thing. So yeah, I think I've been lucky that I got to race with those guys a bit, and I think that's helped. But in saying that, I have been driving a lot of good horses as well in the last couple of years, which helps.
Okay, this one's from Grant Coeli. What do you place more importance on when driving? Keeping the horse comfortable in running or controlling the tempo of the race?
I think when I'm in front, I just try to not fight the horse too much. I think a lot of people can fall into the trap of restraining their horse too much to the detriment of its ability. If they're pulling, they're using up way too much energy, and if they're striding along nice and strong but on a firm rein, it's better to have that than to try and make them go slower to suit yourself more than what the horse is comfortable with.
Darren Clayton's given you a scenario. Assuming the chance of victory is equal, Would you sooner be leading, breeze, trail, or swooping?
Depends a lot on the horse, I guess, but I don't mind sitting in the death because you can, if you've got the right horse, I mean, you can control the race, dictate the speed of the race unless the leader's, a tear away, and keep the better ones back in the field and having to come wide. So the death is a good spot if you're on a good horse.
Mike Denny, your first for placing in the ID 18 final.
Yeah, it's a tricky question, that one. This year looks to be a year where out of the 12 finalists, depending on draws and such, who's going to win. There's sort of no Lazarus this year or no Lenny the Shark, like a dominant horse that I don't think there's any horse that could sit parked and win. So I think a lot's going to come down to draws. I think it'll be probably Tiger Tara, Cruz Bromac, Pat's Delight. I've been pretty impressed with him, and probably San Carlo if he got a good draw.
Dennis Bice, what's your favourite thing to do outside of the horses?
I just like hanging out at home, mucking around with the kids, playing shed cricket with Sam, or watching Katie ride her pony. Maybe once every 3 or 4 months we might get time to go for a hit of golf, which is fun but frustrating. Just like doing a bit of maintenance around the farm, mowing and making sure everything's up to scratch.
This is from Simon Sharp, how many kilometres a year do you clock up? What's the worst unreliable car you've had to go to and from the trots?
Pretty much, I'd say it would be somewhere between 120 and 150,000 k's a year. So Hilux, she's been plugging along for a while. It's up to nearly 600,000. It's been a ripper car. I'm not really a car person. They just get you from A to B. I bought a $1,500 Magna off one of our friends once and did about 200,000 kilometres in it before it died. So as long as it's got a heater and an air conditioner and a radio, that's all I need.
Brett Coffey wants to know how many wins will Carlton have in 2019?
Hopefully between 6 and 10.
Another funny bugger, Zach Phillips. What sort of shampoo do you use?
Whatever sort of soap's in the tub in the shower.
This one is from Julie O'Shaughnessy. Do you class yourself as a champion reinsman?
No, I don't think so. I think I'd say I do all right at what I do, but I've been very fortunate that I've had a lot of good trainers back me over the years, and I had a very good teacher in my dad when I first started off. So without all of that, I sort of wouldn't be where I am today.
From Ashley Stewart, as a young driver, did you have aspirations of being where you are today? I know most juniors want to be successful and win races, but did you aspire to drive 5,000 plus winners?
No, that is something I didn't really think would happen. I think it took me about 10 seasons to get to 100, and I was pretty happy with that. And then sort of hooked up with Noel and Jane, who had a really good team just starting to build, and just sort of went onward and upward from there. So I was pretty surprised, as anyone, that I've got as many winners as I have to date. But like I said, it all comes down to the support you get from trainers, because without the good horses, you don't win races.
Lara Brennan would like to know if you will ever run for Prime Minister.
Yeah, I don't really understand politics that much, and I think you could probably get to be Prime Minister pretty easy because they just seem to swap it all the time, even without voting.
Stephen Salter would like to know how much form you do before each race.
Well, I look up the fields when they first come out to check if I have any double engagements or stuff like that, and I can virtually tell at that time what sort of chance the horse has got, and then, as I said just before, with a couple of guys that do the videos and trials and that for me, and give me a rundown on what they think will happen in the race. So as a fair bit, but I think you can do too much form, and it gets into your head, and then you start to muddle things up. So usually your first impression is the best.
Maria Lakeman, advice for aspiring drivers.
Yeah, you got to, as a lot of trainers will say, you got to do the hard yards and, you know, get to the trials, help out other trainers where you can, to try and get a drive. I used to go to the races and have one drive when I started, and, you know, I'd help other people ungear their horses or strap them and whatever, and they're your future contacts down the road. And I think you just got to be respectful to all the trainers and owners in the industry, because whether they have one horse or 100 horses, you know, they're the ones that put you on, and if you're not respectful to them and do the right thing by them, well, you're not going to get a drive. So it's always hard to start out. I'd hate to be starting out again now, because there's so many good young drivers and that coming through, and I think that's the best thing, just, you know, try and show respect to everyone.
Another funny bugger, Mark Lee from WA would like to know your bank account and PIN number.
I don't even know it. I have to get it off Alford.
Josh is in the back. Where are you? Where are you? What would you ask Chris, given one question?
It's a good one, actually. I haven't really thought of that.
Why won't let you drive wobbly?
Yeah.
Why won't you let Josh drive wobbly?
I don't know actually if he actually has her out there. If you've driven him out ever?
Yeah, when you was away.
Didn't you take him to the trials?
No, I never trialled him, but you was away and somewhere I was working him at home. That's as good as I get.
He'll get to drive him one day.
This isn't from anyone in particular, but what do you feel most proud of?
Proud of? That's a hard question. I think I feel most proud of the fact that most people in the industry know that I just go out there and try every race I'm in, whether it's a $3,000 race or a $100,000 race, and I've never sort of had a bad image in the sport. That would be it.
What was one of your most defining moments in life?
In life? To do with horses?
Yeah.
Defining, what does that mean?
Well, I don't know. Moments come during profound life transitions.
Huh?
Yeah, we'll just scrap that one, I think. It's a weird one. Who do you most admire in life?
In life? In harness life?
No, in general.
General life? Anyone that's successful at what they choose to do. I think there's like we do that you can get there without doing it the hard way, and yeah, anyone that just succeeds, especially with horses, you know, I don't know that there'd be a tougher job around than training horses. You get the good times, but there's so many down times to go with it, so you just got to make the most of the good times, because you know, 1 minute you're going really good and then either a horse breaks down or you know, something like that. So yeah, that's what I think.
What are you most afraid of?
Spiders.
What is your strongest personal quality?
I don't think I lose my temper very often. Pretty casual in that way, I think. Like,
Is that true, Josh?
Yeah, no, pretty true.
it's like, you know, I remember a lot of times in the old days when we'd race and then people would pull up, abuse you and screaming at you and all that, but you know, things happen in races now and some people get upset. I'd probably get upset, but I don't sort of, you know, take it out and just move on to the next race and keep my cool.
Name a or the most embarrassing moment for you.
The most embarrassing moment for me. Was probably after we had a fall one day at Melton, and I was in the ambulance with Lance, and I'd been knocked out, and he broke his ankle and his foot was facing up the wrong way, and I think I was sitting in the ambulance holding his hand, just keeping him calm, so that could have been a bit embarrassing, I think.
What is one skill you'd like to learn and why?
One skill? How to counterfeit money. No, I think one skill I would... What would I like to do? I'd like to be able to do something, fix something mechanical, because everything mechanical that we have I break and have to get a new one because I can never fix it. I can do wood jobs and fence jobs and all that, but anything mechanical, I'm just shit.
Okay, and last one, how would your friends describe you?
My friends would describe me as pretty easygoing, always probably trying to be the joker, and just likes to have a good time, but when he's on the track it's all business.
More questions have come through. Belinda Risley would like to know when you're going to retire.
When I'm going to retire? When I don't think I'm doing the job good enough. I don't want people to be telling me that I should have retired 10 years ago, and as long as I can still, you know, not wreck too many races and stuff like that, just keep going.
Shannon O'Sullivan, best advice someone has ever given you?
Best advice would have been from my dad, just to work hard, and I think the best thing he taught me about horses was to always try and make them think they're travelling better than what they are. Like, never let them get on a loose train so they think they're beaten. I reckon that was one of the best bits.
David Morris, should pineapple go on a pizza?
Not in my opinion. I'm a Mexican. Red Bull gives you wings.
you go?
Red Bull.
Are you a big takeaway man?
No, not really. Not a big eater at all, really. I don't have breakfast, which Alison says I should and probably should, but I just get up, have a cup of coffee when I get to the stables, and then probably eat at lunch, and then I won't have anything until I get home from the races that night.
These questions are from one of your biggest, littlest fans, Jet Temple. Do you miss driving Lenny?
Yeah, hi Jet. I do miss driving Lenny. It was always a buzz, and he always raced in the best races, so he never let me down. Any time we raced together, he was a super horse. And my favourite driver of all time would probably be Brian Gath. He doesn't get a lot of drives now, but back in the day he taught me a lot, and he was always the hardest to beat, especially if he was in front, and I learned a few little dirty tricks off him along the way.
It is currently 36 degrees, coming on 4:30. Do you prefer to drive in the heat or when it's, as Melbourne gets, minus?
I don't mind the heat that much. It gets pretty hot, of course, with your vest and helmet on, but at least in the cold you can rug up, so I prefer it when it's not quite this hot.
And preparing for race meetings, do you have a different feel when you wake up in the morning knowing that you're about to drive in, say, like a Breeders' Crown Night or a Miracle Mile or a Victoria Cup, compared to Bendigo on a Thursday, or is everything sort of the same?
I think that I'm pretty much the same, but my family would probably disagree. Alison tells the kids, don't poke the bear during the week because he'll be very angry and very tense. So I can't see it, but it seems to happen every week that there's a big race. They seem to think I go a bit funny, especially if I've got some good chances.
Josh, do you agree with that?
I think I'm with Alison and the kids on this one. It's a bit edgy when there's big races on.
Because they paid his ticket and that, you had to go up and look at it.
110 kilometres down, and we've just gotten to Bendigo. Who is your best drive tonight? Best chance?
Best chance, I think Emma and Clayton have a first starter in. I'm not sure, race 3 or 4. And I think Zeffiani will go well in the second.
Will you travel to many tracks if you've only got the one drive? Not that that would happen for you very often, but...
Yeah, like, people are good enough to put you on, you got to make the effort, and you know,
and that's probably a
if
pretty
they got
good...
one in this week, they might have 5 next week, and if you don't go for one, then you mightn't get to drive the other 5 the following week, sort of thing.
And that's probably a very good point to point out to junior drivers as well.
Yeah, that's right. If they're good enough to put you on their horse, you got to have the commitment to them as well. And that's what I said. If you got one drive or 8, you still got to make the effort. After 97.
After 97, yeah.
No worries. Thank you.
Where we going?
Up to that. 97 onward. Oh, Ziggy, fancy you being at the race.
Do you mainly use Mintac gear?
Yep. Luckily we've got a sponsorship from Fintac this year. Yeah, I like their gear a lot. And it's all well made, lasts well. Yeah, I like it a lot. Fintac special. Proud sponsors. I'll go this way, I might run into a trainer. It would be nice if we had valets like Timmy Petrick and that just turn up at the track.
Well,
All your gear's there ready.
They do in the Gallop, so I'm not sure why they can't.
Yeah. We don't make enough money then. That's the problem.
There could, if there was one thing that you could change about harness racing right now, what would it be?
Like most people, I'd say, you know, more prize money for the owners, and that would be ideal. You know, I'm pretty lucky because I have lots of drives and that, but a lot of trainers and owners that, you know, find it hard to make a living just out of horses the way it is at the moment. How are we?
Very good, mate.
1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9.
Excellent. I've got your award too from the premiership standings, so you can.
You've lost the board.
No, it's we've had a new one made up.
Ah.
Next week.
Very good. Thanks. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, Puppet.
How you going? Don't spend all that money. Hello, Douglas.
Out again.
Out again, mate. Every day you're getting close to retirement. Hey, Keith.
Good. What are we going to do then?
We'll have no one to yell at. Brennan from Ash Brennan Photography, Proprietary Limited. Website designer. I don't know what else you are.
I don't do websites actually.
Ah, well,
Do
racing
social-
pages.
Yes. Who's your first drive?
She's a lucky lady. She's just a battler, but trainer's a nice bloke. Only works one horse. He loves it, so hopefully we can do good. We've got barrier 1. She doesn't have a great deal of gate speed, but we'll punch out as hard as we can and try and have her up the front end.